Well, hello and welcome to this video. This is the second part of me talking about my feelings lately regarding Long Island. In that other video, I kind of was basically just talking about how the subreddit for Long Island barely covered, no, they didn't even make one post about the No Kings rallies, yet there were plenty of posts in the New Jersey subreddit, which kind of tells me um, where people's long priorities are here on Long Island. And I support the No Kings protests fully. And I know there were some on Long Island. They just didn't seem to get the attention that they did in New Jersey and in New York City. Um, in this video, I'm going to be discussing my feelings about Long Island and why a lot of the times I just feel like I don't belong here. I'm also going to go through the pros and cons of Long Island versus somewhere else, like say New Jersey, Ocean County in particular, Tom's River, all right, area. So I think I first want to get started with talking about the latest scenario that happened at my apartment. I made a short about it, but this has been an ongoing issue now for a number of years. There's a man, an old man, who's a chain smoker, um, and he's supposed to go outside to smoke. He's been told many, many times by me and the landlord that he cannot smoke in the building. Smoking inside the building is not allowed. It doesn't matter whether he's blowing it out the window or not. It's not allowed inside the apartment building. You have to go outside to smoke. But every time around this time of the year, usually, when the weather starts getting colder, he starts smoking in his apartment again. And I've been back and forth with this so many times. So of course it happened on Saturday night, and late at night. Usually, I guess he thought I was sleeping or something, like a little before midnight, and I smelled it, and I yelled out the window for him to cut it out, and he didn't. He didn't put it out right away. And then I started stomping on the floor and yelling some more. And then I got on the microphone that I got here, put it through my speakers, and told him to stop smoking and cut it out. Um, I did call him some names. Um, and he finally did stop after I really got angry. And I also left a note on his door saying to stop smoking in his apartment. But I'm going through this so many times. I know, oh, you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't confront him. Go to the landlord. I've gone to the landlord so many times already. I've gone to my agency so many times already. And nothing gets done. Nothing gets done about it. And I'm dealing with this brick wall view, obviously. I'm dealing with no intercom for the past almost 5 years now. I'm dealing with an absentee landlord that really just provides the bare minimum um, at this point. And honestly, I've been arguing with my agency over they need to terminate the lease with this landlord and let me look for another apartment. This is what I've been arguing with them about. And my old agency, before it got bought out and taken over by this other agency, would have worked with me on this. So I'm sitting in front of the computer because I want to kind of share with you some of my contacts with my agency here. And obviously, a lot of this has to do with Long Island uh, and 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 housing here, obviously. And so this was a letter I attached to my rent, and I basically just explained to them my history because this went to the director. All right. So and I pretty much wrote in the letter that I was pretty happy when I moved here in 2017, and then things started going downhill after 2020. Um, and There was a new intercom installed in 2020, and that new intercom has been broken almost since it was installed. It's barely worked. Um, of course, I talk about the smoking going on in the building. I talk about the tenants putting trash in front of the basement door, hanging out on the steps, blocking the path for me to get in. The people here, and that it's hot in here. It's just brutally hot in here in the summer. And the stairwell is just an oven, and I feel like I'm going to collapse. Um, and that the AC struggles because there's not the AC, and I kind of explained to them that the air conditioner situation is not sufficient for this apartment. Um, the the portable ACs, they don't work that well because they create a vacuum. There's only one hose because the compressor's inside, basically. There's a whole video from Technology Connections. He explains why these portable ACs, when they got this portable AC for my bedroom, it really doesn't do that much. And after watching the video, I can see why. Um, um, so I explained that to them. I explained that the air conditioner in the kitchen is just not powerful enough. It's 8,000 BTUs, and yes, when you measure from space, but you got to take into account that you're facing the alley. You got to take into account that you're around all these hot apartments around you because, again, the tenants that live upstairs, they don't use their air conditioners. They just walk around in their underwear. That's the way they get through summer. Um, they don't want to put their air conditioners on. And then I was talking about the front door being broken. The front door to my building was broken for most of the summer, and this letter was basically about that. Um, and I said anyone could just walk into the building, which is a threat to my personal safety. And the issues with the neighborhood's obviously getting worse. It's made my anxiety worse. And then I talk about the fact that I want to look on my own for another apartment. And that my physical and mental health has declined. I have to deal with I can't get fresh air a lot. The laundry exhaust, sometimes the weed, the cigarettes, and sometimes all at once. Um, Gone to the village, obviously, haven't gotten anywhere with that. Um, and they basically say the argument that people from my agency have said is that, well, it's very hard to get another apartment because there's a lot of discrimination. They don't want to rent the programs. But New York actually has a very tough law against that kind of thing. It's a matter of fighting, and they don't want to fight. They don't want to fight. And I know a lot of this stuff is just stuff I've rehashed to you a million times, but this was another letter that I wrote because I wanted it going to the director of the actual, not just the director of the program, but the director of the whole agency. I never actually got a response from the director of the whole agency. Um, so they did finally fix the front door lock, and only after in this letter did I say that if it wasn't fixed by October 1st, that I would withhold rent, and that got them to fix it. That's what I had to do. We need better housing advocacy. And I said, we deserve quality places to live where we can be happy. That is our right, and I don't care what anyone else says. But again, I didn't get a response from the director on this. Instead, I got a response from the program coordinator. This is the response I got from the letter. It says, I hope you are doing well. I want to let you know that I received your letter today. Again, this is the program coordinator. I reached out to the landlord to follow up regarding the front door lock and was informed that it was repaired. In regard to the temperature of the apartment and the building's ventilation, there is unfortunately limited action the landlord could take to adjust these conditions. However, if you would be interested in having an oscillating fan, we certainly can provide one to help with your comfort in your space. Regarding your request to move to a unit, keep in mind, if a one-bedroom apartment comes available, I will keep you in mind if a one-bedroom apartment comes available. In the meantime, please don't hesitate to reach out to your housing specialist or to me directly for any other property concerns. We want to ensure that you continue to feel safe, supported, and heard. So that's their response. This is the program coordinator's response. And as you see, I do have an oscillating fan right behind me, and that is also in addition to two other fans I've got, one in the bedroom and then the box fan as well. So I don't think another fan is going to help here. All right. So this is what I wrote back to their reply. I wrote back, yes, the front door lock is working properly. However, the intercom is still broken and is causing major problems with getting deliveries. I missed 2 deliveries, and in one case, you know what happened with the whole printer thing. That I had to wait for my uncle to come and drive to the store to get it because they left the package there and wouldn't redeliver it to me. All right. The intercom has been broken for years now, and it's simply unacceptable. While summer is over now, I was struggling to stay cool this summer. I already have an oscillating fan. I cannot survive another summer here as is. Um, I do appreciate when them getting the second portable AC for my bedroom, but it is not doing much to cool things down because of the way they work. And I showed that video that I again shared about why those ACs don't work very well. I know that is all that can be put there due to window size. And then I say, if all else fails, another suitable location can't be found by next summer, I either have to consider leaving Long Island for other housing options, which would be a heartbreaking decision, or would need a much more powerful window AC unit in the kitchen, probably at least 10,000 BTU or more to cool this place. And of course, there's all the other stuff, but I was nearly physically at my breaking point this summer. You have no idea how hot this place gets. So hopefully I've done a better job explaining it to you. I don't want to put myself at risk of heat stroke or passing out climbing those stairs, not to mention being too warm to sleep properly. As I said a million times before, I wish they could just end the lease for this place and look for another location. Like I said in my letter, the first few years were great, then things changed. The heat wasn't as much an issue because the tenants next to me used air conditioning, but those tenants moved out and the new ones that moved in don't use air conditioning and walk around in their underwear. So I have extra heat all around me. And again, all the other stuff I mentioned, but the main thing is summer. I feel like I am alone in this because no one seems to advocate for better quality housing, or so it seems. It's not right. People have to live like this. We have about 5 to 6 months before it gets hot again. I have to make sure I am not in a position that could be very bad for my health. If my back is against the wall, I'd have to purchase a bigger window air conditioning unit myself and subtract it from the rent. I appreciate your response to this letter, but right now it's hard to feel safe, supported, and heard when living in this place is my only option, especially when they keep building apartment buildings all over the place, even here in Mineola, but no one is helping us getting better housing. And yes, I know a lot of it's out of the agency's control, but like I said, nothing is stopping you from ending this lease and letting me look for another unit. Between the heat, air circulations, laundry fumes, poor response to fixing important things like the front door lock, which took all summer, and the still broken intercom, it's reason enough to consider ending a lease. And then this person just writes back, thank you for reaching out to me and sharing your concerns. If we have a one-bedroom apartment that becomes available, I will definitely reach out to you to see if it is something you are interested in. And then they reiterate, do you want us to get you a fan? I know the weather is cooling off, but if you want one, we can get one for you. I don't need another fan. All right. And that was their response to that. And then I sent them another message on the weekend about what happened here. So, and this one just said, I've had it. So it just said, Saturday night, here we go again. The old man below. Oh, you know the whole deal. I don't need to read this. But you could see I'm fed up. They keep dodging the question. Why can't you just end the lease here and let me look for another apartment on their own? There aren't many single bedroom apartments in the program, and they just there aren't many. And where they are located, I don't even know where they're located. Chances are it's going to be in a bad neighborhood like Hempstead or an out of the way area like Cove, which would be even worse. So they're not letting me look for another apartment on my own. My old agency would let me do that. And that is a big problem that I have. And that's really what it comes down to. I mean, I feel that I have grounds to, I know this is more about my apartment than Long Island, but I'll get into it. This is going to be a long video. But what I'm saying is that they're not letting me look on my own. And honestly, like I said, the no intercom, the cigarette smoke, I didn't even bring up the waiting 3 minutes for hot water. I didn't even bring that one up. Because to me, it's like the least important. But all these other things, I mean, as a tenant, I have a right to fresh air. I have a right to open my window and get fresh air and not have to breathe in laundry fumes, cigarette smoke, weed or vape or anything like that. All right, that's a right as a tenant. And then also the stairwell being so hot. The landlord acts like there's not much that can be done. There actually can be. They could put a exhaust fan in. They just don't want to do it. Um, they don't want to fix the intercom. So all these things to me say, you know what, this is grounds to terminate a lease. But they don't want to do that. They don't want to do that because they're like, well, if we terminate this lease, we could have a bad reputation. They're worried about they want to basically kiss up to the landlords because they don't want the landlords because they already have enough trouble getting landlords to rent to the program. So this is the problem that we have on Long Island. They're not willing to fight. So this is what I'm up against, and this is what I'm up against. And honestly, I think that my agency is only going to respond if I get a lawyer involved and take them to court over this. And I have to try to push myself to do that or shut up and go live in New Jersey at this point. Those are my options at this point. And honestly, Long Island has changed so much. Long Island has changed so much. I'm going to read to you a comment that somebody made here. We're going to find it. Here we go. I could put it on the screen too. This was from the Long Island Reddit. It says the median asking price for a home on Long Island was $911,754 in June, this past June. That's almost $1 million. So the average home price almost $1 million on Long Island. So that means that a buyer would need to earn at least $242,000 a year to buy that home. So this is in response because somebody is a store manager and they're making $22 an hour and they want to get a home on Long Island and they're not going to be able to do it. This is the kind of stuff that goes on Long Island. So imagine what it's like. Now, I'm not looking to buy a home, but it's similar with the rents. And most of these apartments, they actively discriminate against people in programs because they have an income threshold. You've got to be making a certain amount of money, and that automatically discriminates against people with disabilities. But it's illegal under New York state law to do that. So not enough people are fighting about this. And this is the problem I have that I've got. So I live on a very expensive Long Island. Long Island was never like this years ago. I mean, even Billy Joel is leaving Long Island. He's leaving Long Island, and he's got plenty of money, but he doesn't want to be here anymore because of how pretentious it's gotten, how overdeveloped it's gotten, how polluted it's gotten, and it's ridiculous. I mean, the way people act over here, the way they talk over here. I'm not saying everybody on Long Island is like that. I'm not saying every community is like that on Long Island, but generally, the more desirable places on Long Island, you have a lot of snobs. That's what I'm going to call them because they act like snobs. They dress like snobs. They have vehicles that are considered vehicles that have snob appeal. And they look down on anyone who isn't just like them. They only want to be with their own kind. And that's what you have in a lot of these more desirable parts of Long Island, particularly on the South Shore and places like Rockville Center and Lindbergh. And you have it on the North Shore too. In the middle tends to be the more working class areas. And Vegematic, the aging hippie, I am sorry, I can't remember. He made a comment. He said, well, I could never stand living in a pretentious area. I don't actually live in a pretentious area where I live in Mineola. Mineola is not a pretentious area. The town is not pretentious. And certainly my neighborhood is not pretentious. My neighborhood is neglected, is what it is. Mineola is generally, like I said, I would be totally okay if I found another apartment in Mineola. There are plenty of, Mineola has so many apartment buildings. You can't find me another apartment in Mineola where I don't have to deal with any of this stuff. Really? So I'm dealing with that. I feel out of place. I have some friends here that I've made. By and large, though, it feels like I just don't have enough in common. The people here, I don't feel like they can appreciate nature the way I do, particularly the Pine Barrens. And perhaps I'm wrong about that. Perhaps it's just my experience. But it just feels like when I'm in New Jersey, the people are more down to earth. When I'm in, at least going by what I can experience in the Toms River, they're down to earth. They don't seem pretentious at all. They seem to appreciate the pines like I do. And it feels like I've got more in common with the people there, with the way it just seems like they're more regular people, whereas here it just seems like everybody is a yuppie. That's a good way of putting it. I mean, and they say it on the train. I know they're a little older, but they say it on the train kind of just shows you the kind of people that everything gears to on Long Island. It's all about the money. It's all about Wall Street. It's all about that culture, and I think that part of the reason ties into why you're not seeing the anti the anti Trump protests so much here, um, like you do in other parts of the country, because by and large, many people on Long Island are actually benefiting. A lot of these Wall Street people are doing great, um, at least for now. It may very well crash. I don't know why it isn't crashing. They went again today, um, but they're doing well while everybody else, the middle class, the working class, the poor, everybody else is suffering so much under this current administration. And they don't see it because they're just doing great. They're living it up in Rockville Center. You can just hear them just celebrating as the world, as everybody else is suffering. So, but yet I go there. I go there because I want to, as much as I can't stand the greed aspect of it, I like being around happy people. I don't want to be around sad people, depressed people. I don't really want to be around that because it's just going to depress me. And we all know the scenes you experience in the middle of the island can be pretty depressing. And so that's why I go there. It's because I want to be around some happiness. But at the same time, it is difficult in a way because you feel very much out of place. You feel like, oh man, this place is out of my league completely. That's what it feels like. And a lot of these towns are like, do you want to go anywhere that's thriving? It's going to be out of your league because most of the areas on Long Island that are thriving are full of these kind of people. And if that's the problem when you go to Ocean County. Well, I can't really say that there's anywhere in Ocean County that's at least like anywhere on Long Island. I mean, it's mostly the way Long Island used to be many years ago before it all became yuppified, so to speak, I guess. But now I'm going to get into, I've explained to you my feelings and why, obviously. Sometimes I feel like, yeah, that's where I came up with the phrase, shut up and go live in New Jersey, because that's what I feel like they want me to do. They want me to shut up and go live in New Jersey because Long Island is now a place for the rich snobs, and people like me are just not welcome here anymore. Despite how much I'm attached to it, despite everything, it's just become a place for the snobs now. But we're going to look at the pros and the cons here, because New Jersey has its own issues as well that obviously if I leave Long Island, I'm going to have to deal with. And we're going to, obviously, we've been through the pros about New Jersey. The people are more down to earth. They seem middle class. They don't seem, they're not part of the Wall Street corruption machine. They appreciate the Pine Barrens. There's definitely more open space preserved over there. The environment certainly is in better shape. You don't see, the pines there are healthier. You don't see dead trees like you do on Long Island. But there are different kinds of places to eat versus on Long Island. Chains that we don't have on Long Island, like Wawa and Roy Rogers, that I like, that we don't have here on Long Island. But there are cons as well. that I have to think about. And the biggest one I think of all is transportation. The transportation in, at least in Tom's River, is pretty bad compared to Long Island. There are only a couple of local bus routes compared to many local bus routes on Long Island. Yes, you do have the express bus routes that go to Atlantic City and the city, and Port Authority, but you don't have a whole lot of local bus service. In fact, there are only two NJ Transit local bus routes, and only one runs a regular hourly service, um, and that's it. Then you have Ocean Ride, which is the county-run bus system, which is very limited in its scope. There's only a couple of routes that run 5 or 6 days a week. And a lot of their other smaller routes only have like a couple of runs a day and run only a couple of days a week. It's really bad. They do have a paratransit system that I would probably be forced to use if I had to go live there, because the transportation is just so limited. And they tend to shut down their transportation, as we saw with that Northeaster we had, for no reason at all. I mean, New Jersey Transit does that. They've always done that. Like, they'll always shut down before MTA does. It's always been like that. NJ Transit's always been like, so the transit is definitely a lot worse. Getting around would be a lot worse. The second con about New Jersey is the heat. It's hotter in the summer. It is hotter during the day. Yes, it does cool down at night, but during the day, you're away from that ocean influence, and sometimes there's a sea breeze, but it's nothing like here. It's much hotter there. So you're going to be dealing with a lot more heat in the summer on top of everything else. You're going to be dealing with a lot more heat, and that's something that I could have a lot of trouble dealing with as well. The other thing is medical care. You do have a hospital in Tom's River. It's not very well ranked. The Ocean Medical Center, it's not very well ranked. The quality of the medical care you're going to get is going to be much inferior to that on Long Island, where we have, and I get excellent care from NYU Langone. We've got a lot of top-notch hospitals here on Long Island that you're just not going to see in New Jersey. You're not going to get that kind of care, and that's a concern, especially when I have all the issues that I have, mental issues, but also some physical issues as well. And I think finally is the electric grid in Jersey. The power goes out. All right, they've been behaving themselves pretty good, JCP&L, but they had another big outage a couple of nights ago with some issue again with the substation. The power will just go out randomly for no reason on a nice sunny day. It's usually a substation issue, because their substation and power transmission network is very antiquated and cannot handle the load and the weather that we're seeing now. So Jersey Central Power and Light, not a reliable electric company. Their power lines may look nice and they look kind of cool, but they're not reliable. They have problems with these big power outages, and that's something you're going to deal with a lot more. Whereas here on Long Island, we have an excellent PSEG. Long Island is an excellent power company. They've done a lot to enhance the grid, and I've hardly lost power at all. There used to be way more power outages. We had LIPR, but there's hardly any power outages. The past Northeast has shown that they've really done a good job. And if the power does go out, they usually get it back very quickly. It's usually within an hour or two. All right, so that's the other thing. So now I've kind of gone over the cons about New Jersey, and then the cons about Long Island, and the pros of New Jersey. Now, there are pros about Long Island that I will give up if I have to leave. Obviously, we went over some of those already. And that is obviously access to transportation. We have a lot. There are no trains in Ocean County. There is no trains in Tom's River. You just have the limited bus network. Whereas here on Long Island, we have both trains and buses to get around. That is, and also the Pine Barrens, despite New Jersey's being much more vast, 80% of it I can't get to because there is no public transportation to those Pine Barrens. Whereas on Long Island, I can get to about 80 to 90% of the Pine Barrens here by public transportation. There's an extensive Suffolk County Transit. Basically, Ocean County makes Suffolk County Transit look like New York City style bus service. All right, so that's how good Suffolk County Transit is compared to a lot of other places. And nice, I've had my issues with them, but still, it's still better than what you're going to have in much of New Jersey. And then in addition to that, we've got the Long Island Railroad, which again is pretty reliable. There are issues here and there, but I mean, you can count on it. You can get a lot of places without a car in Long Island compared to New Jersey, and it's not going to be that hard. And you got to remember, it's hotter in Jersey, so that means more walking in the heat, which is something I'm not going to be good at doing. There are things that I can do on Long Island. I can enjoy going to the beach at night. I can go to Long Beach. Can't do that in New Jersey. Um, Bus service to the beach, seaside, very limited. So you can't do that in Jersey either. I know they do have the coastline. You have to go transfer to some other route. I don't know how the heck that works. It's very confusing. So yeah, public transportation definitely better on Long Island, much better on Long Island. Crime, they're both, I mean, relatively safe places. I do feel Long Island has some more crime issues, particularly in the middle of the island versus New Jersey. I feel very safe when I'm in Jersey and Tom's. I've never usually seen anything nefarious over there. I usually don't. Whereas here on Long Island, there are some. But Long Island, by and large, is a safe place. But there are some bad areas on Long Island you want to stay out of. And I'm talking about places like Hempstead, places like Roosevelt, Uniondale, parts of Westbury, parts of Freeport here in Nassau County, parts of Elmont. Those are the kind of areas I'm talking about. And in Suffolk, you have areas like Wyandanch and Brentwood and Central Islip. Though not all of Central Islip is bad. By the courts, it's actually nice. So, depending on where you are over there, if you're by the courts, it's actually fairly nice over there. The 17 goes by there when I've taken it. It doesn't seem like I see anything. They have some nice shopping centers over there too. So Long Island is better in regards to the transportation, and it's better. I mean, I've been over that already. Access, the medical care, obviously, Long Island is better at. Weather, Long Island has better weather. It's cooler here, obviously, versus New Jersey where it's hotter. We've been over that already. Um, but there are some big cons to deal with, especially with the housing and the way people act over here. Um, but I'd still rather be on Long Island right now. Sometimes I feel like I'd rather be in Jersey, but when you sit down, you really think about it. I'd still rather be on Long Island. But if staying on Long Island means being stuck in this apartment, I have to think about if find another apartment if there is such a thing in New Jersey, that I might be better off going there. And it's hard to say that, but um, that's what it is. It's not right. It's not fair. And I wish people would fight more for me. But I guess it's up to me to fight more, and that's why I kind of have to take time away from doing as many videos here on this channel, because I got to focus on. There's a really good chance I'm going to be taking my agency to court, getting a lawyer at least involved in this, because it seems like that's the only thing they're going to listen to at this point. Um, they don't understand. I can't survive another summer here. I cannot survive another summer here. And I'm fed up with the cigarette smoke. All right, this has gone on for way too long already. With that, all right, that's yeah. I have a right to fresh air as a tenant. Getting back to the original subject here about Long Island pros, yeah, we do have Pine Barrens, and obviously, no matter where I go, I have to be near the Pine Barrens. I can't be more than a 30-minute trip away from the Pine Barrens. I know some people have suggested, oh, go to Westchester, go to Connecticut. That's like hour plus away from the Pine Barrens. There's no way. Westchester, it may be safe, it may be nice, but I don't care for it there. Really. I don't. It's very. It reminds me too much of the North Shore of Long Island, which I'm not a fan of. All right, so forget about Westchester. Connecticut can be like that too a little bit, though it's a little bit better. But it's just not my thing. All right, not my thing at all. And we do have Pine Barrens that are struggling, but we do have beautiful beaches as well. I know New Jersey has beaches, and I haven't been to their beaches, so I can't say for sure. But Long Island has a Fire Island, which is a very unique place that I don't think New Jersey has a place like that at all. All right, at all. So that's one thing right there. All right. Um, so what are the pros about Long Island? Obviously, food. All right, yes, we there in New Jersey some chains that we don't. But when it comes to actual grocery shopping, Long Island is much better. All right. Yes, I love ShopRite. It is one of my favorite supermarkets, and they're all over New Jersey. It's true. But unfortunately, in Ocean County, ShopRite is a cooperative, and they're owned by different families. So the family that used to run a lot of the ShopRites in Ocean County, the Perlmutter family, and they ran some pretty decent ShopRites. Well, they sold out to the Saker family, which is known to be one of the worst family-run ShopRites. Um, and they own a lot of ShopRites. They treat their employees terrible, And honestly, when I've been in there, it doesn't even feel like it's a shop, right? It feels more like it's a King Cullen or something else. It's kind of similar to the Jansen family. If you know the Jansen family, they run, I think, one shop. I think they run two shop rights here on Long Island. I think they run one in Hop Hog and whatever. They're known to, they don't bake anything fresh in store. It's just, and they've basically ruined a lot of the perimeter shop rights, and a lot of people complain. I see a lot of complaints about it on a lot of the local Facebook groups in the Toms River area about it. So, and that's the only supermarket there is. You do have some Stop and Shop, but Stop and Shop is very mediocre, as you know. All right. Even King Cullen, to some extent. I mean, King Cullen is very highly dependent on the store. Some King Cullens are very nice. So on Long Island, obviously, in New Jersey, all you have is ShopRite and then some Stop and Shops. You don't have Uncle Giuseppe's. There's some Acme stores, I think, but that's about it. I mean, yeah, you got your Aldi's and Aldi's not even a regular supermarket. Not even putting it there. Trader Joe's, that's not a regular supermarket. We're talking about regular supermarkets, mainstream retail, mainstream grocery. So here on Long Island, yes, we have ShopRite. They're not as prominent, but the ShopRites, most of them, except for the ones that are run by the Jansen family, are very good. All of the ones, obviously, the best being the Greenfield family run ShopRites, which we have in Plainview. There's two in Plainview. There's one in Bethpage, New Hyde Park. There's one in Comac as well. And you have a lot of other ShopRites too that are very nice here across Long Island. There's one in Deer Park. So we have nicer ShopRites than Ocean County does. But that, in addition to obviously, you have Stop and Shop as well. We have King Cullen, obviously, as well. But we also have other places like Meat Farms, which I love. Now, they're not in Nassau, but they are all over Suffolk County. And I love their bakery and their Italian pizza. They have vegetable pizza breads that I absolutely love. So, and sometimes you find those in other stores, but generally Meat Farms, you'll always find that in Meat Farms. So it's very good. They have excellent fresh produce and all that stuff. I love Meat Farms. You don't have anything like that in New Jersey. Uncle Giuseppe, great Italian place. It's a little more money, but they're not. Well, they're in New Jersey, but very limited. And there's nothing. They don't have an Uncle Giuseppe in Ocean County. Whole Foods, which I know is kind of pricey, kind of upscale. They don't have that in Ocean County either. All right, we have a number of Whole Foods here on Long Island. All right, so we have that. Wegmans has come to now. There is a Wegmans near Ocean County, Freehold, but we have a Wegmans. I have not been to the Wegmans yet by Smith Haven Mall. So and yeah, well that's the other thing too. Malls. All you have is the Ocean County Mall, which is okay. It's kind of mediocre, but it's nothing like what we have here on Long Island. And obviously, the best malls on Long Island, I think, are Smith Haven Mall. I mean, Roosevelt Field, even though it's got its issues, it is the biggest mall that we have. You have Wall Women Mall. You have more malls to go to, more things like that. I feel like I'm leaving out some other grocery chains, and I know I am because there's also smaller ones like North Shore Farms, Gala Fresh. I think they're opening up a Sprouts in Centereach. So we have a large variety of grocery stores to choose from on Long Island, which you don't have in Ocean County. So the food options definitely aren't as good. So when you weigh this all out, I think you can see that Long Island still has more pros, but the cons about Long Island are huge cons that have to be overcome. So I mean, this has been my experience on it, and honestly, I mean, I was pretty upset when that whole thing with the smoker happened. I just stop smoking in your apartment, man. And I have his name. I don't want to leak it on here. I have his name. But if he keeps doing it, I might have to. I know the guy's name. I know his full name. All right. I don't want to do that. But if he keeps this kind of crap up, I might have to. I don't want to resort to that. I just want him to stop. But he keeps doing this time and time again. And I'm a quiet tenant. I don't make a lot of noise. I don't get angry. But when it comes to cigarette smoke, that is something I am just not going to tolerate. And the landlord should feel the same way because smoking is bad for it's a safety hazard. It can start fires. It also damages apartments when there's smoke. It gets into the walls. It gets into everything. So it damages apartments. And then if he does move out, then they've got to do this whole thing. I think you can use like an ozone generator or something. But generally speaking, smoking is in a multi-tenant building is a no-no. It should not happen. And landlord, at least if I had a good landlord, he would be just as mad, or if not madder than I'm in. Probably mad enough to throw that guy out, right out of here. And that's what he should do. He should throw him right out, but he's not going to do that. This guy rents to low, he doesn't. That's the problem. People in supportive housing, we don't get good landlords. We get the lowest of the low. The quality landlords know they can get a lot more money, and they can get rich people coming in, and that's the problem. And one of the pros about New Jersey, I'm going to leave it with this: is they have better laws requiring affordable housing. When they have mandates, actual quotas that every single, it's called the Mount Laurel Doctrine, and every community in New Jersey, every town has to provide a certain number of affordable apartments. We don't have that on Long Island. And I think we should have it on Long Island. I think we should have it across New York State. And I know the governor kind of tried to come up with something, but her plan did not address the problem, right? But I think she needs to come back with another plan, like similar to the Mount Laurel Doctrine. I think we need that in New York. I really do. I don't care how much the snobs are going to fight it. We need a Mount Laurel Doctrine, or some kind of requirement that every community provide a certain amount of affordable housing in New York. We have a lot of issues, and I know some people are going to say at the end, why don't you make a video about the elections coming up? Well, maybe I will, but I'm going to just kind of talk about this a little bit here, right? And I know a lot of the stuff you say, it sounds like you would agree with Zoran Mondani and a lot of stuff regarding that kind of thing. But the thing is, Zoran Mondani, and I know some people are going to disagree with me. Some people are big fans of him, and I can understand why. Now, I'm not thrilled with any of the candidates running. If it was up to me, it would have been Scott Stringer. All right, I loved Scott Stringer. I loved his ads. The fact that he would basically tell that schmuck where to stuff it. He's referring to Trump, obviously. It showed that he was tough. He cared about crime, and he cared about affordability. None of the other candidates can really provide that. Zoran is going to be. I'm really worried about the crime situation, because he's got policies, especially the Democratic Socialists, that are going to release a lot of criminals, and I'm really worried about that kind of thing. The buses are going to turn on rolling homeless shelters. Even Cuomo has said that. All right. Sliwa, I have friends who support Curtis. Curtis does care about the city, but the problem is he's got a big ego, and honestly, I think he needs to drop out, because I think that everybody who doesn't want to see Zoran win should be getting behind Andrew Cuomo at this point. All right. I don't live in New York City, but if I did, I would be voting for Andrew Cuomo for governor. I meant for he was governor, but I would be voting for him for mayor. And I know you're probably going to this guy, me, criticized Cuomo plenty. And I think a lot of it stemmed from his relationship with Ed Mangano. That was like 98% of my anger toward Andrew Cuomo, because what a piece of garbage Ed Mangano did, what he did with our bus system and all that stuff. So, but I've got to put that in the past now. All right. A lot more recently, Zoran has said some disturbing things, even within like 3 or 4 years ago, about 9/11, being with an imam that was happy about something like that. He's also said anti-Semitic things. He said he said to defund the police, and he's just walking it back now. I can't trust that. And he's young, he's inexperienced, so yeah, I cannot support Zoran Mondani for mayor. I'm sorry. All right, I know some people are going to say, "Why can't you do that?" But I can't. I can't do it. I can't. He's probably going to win, and my fear is the city is going to get a lot more dangerous, and we're going to have a lot more people fleeing the city, a lot more rich people coming in and driving up the home prices even more here on Long Island. If anyone is part of the plan, it's Zoran. He's going to try to force us out, even though he says he's not. Even though that's the hallmark. When you let all the criminals out, it's going to make the remaining safe areas become that much more expensive. But Cuomo's got a lot of ground to make up. But if Sliwa would drop out, then it'll be another thing. New Jersey, obviously, that's another election I'm following. And if Jack Schiaparelli somehow wins that election, then yeah, there's no way I will move to New Jersey at all. You can forget about that because Jack Ciattarelli is a Trump Jr. He's arrogant. He actually seems more arrogant than even our own Bruce Blakeman. He is just unbelievably just. He's going to destroy NJ Transit. If you think NJ Transit's bad now, it's going to be useless if he becomes the governor. He is going to destroy it. He's going to do what NJ Transit to do to NJ Transit what Ed Mangano did to MTA Long Island Bus. That's what he's going to do. All right. He's going to be an absolute disaster. He's arrogant. He's a Trumper, and he's going to ruin New Jersey. And it's disturbing that so many people in New Jersey supported it. There shouldn't even be a close election. It should be a blowout for Mikey Sherrill. I'm not thrilled with Mikey Sherrill. I wanted to see Steve Phillip, obviously, but given the options, I'd take Mikey Sherrill easily over that. You know what, Jack? Hit the road, Jack, and don't you come back here no more, no more. High tax, Jack. So call him. Okay, getting closer to home. The last thing, I might make a separate video about this. And for those of you stuck around at the end of the video, you'll get some of my opinions on this. One more election. Obviously, here in Nassau County, a big one is the county executive. And obviously, I can't stand Bruce Blakeman. He's got to go. I think Seth Kozlow is actually a pretty good middle-of-the-road Democrat. He's going to look out. He's going to audit the county, figure out where the money's going, because right now there's a lot of corruption going on with Bruce Blakeman. Also, I think that he is going to care about the crime, because Bruce Blakeman's like, well, the South Shore is fine. I don't really care about the rest of the county. That's his attitude. He'll paint it the other way he can. And Bruce Blakeman's a Trumper. So that's all you need to know. If you support Trump, I'm going to be voting against you. So, yeah, that is it. So, yeah, Seth Kozlow, and I'll be doing other videos about this, but I just figured I'd share some of my thoughts because these elections do tend to affect what I might do what I may have to do in the future. And if, God forbid, that Jack Ciattarelli becomes the governor of New Jersey, yeah, there's no way I'd want to ever consider living there, and even going to New Jersey may become a lot tougher because he's gonna wreck New Jersey Transit bus service. So please, God, for the love of God, if you live in New Jersey, do not vote for Jack Ciattarelli. You're going to destroy the state. He will drive up the taxes too, and he's going to destroy a lot of. He's going to basically do what Trump did to the federal government. He's going to do to New Jersey. So if you put that piece of garbage in there, that's what's going to happen. So no, hit the road, Jack. Don't you come back here no more, no more. That's a New Jersey issue, but it could become my issue if I consider having to go shut up and live in New Jersey. But right now, I'm still not going to shut up and go live in New Jersey just yet. So I got to try to put more time into somebody with mental illness, obviously somebody with depression and anxiety disorder, getting lawyers involved. It's all very anxious, very stressful stuff. But unfortunately, I have to do it. I still feel in the end I deserve a better apartment. It doesn't have to be in one of the South Shore enclaves. I'd be fine with staying in Mineola. Part of me wants to stay in Mineola, but I got to get out of this apartment. This apartment is killing me. So thank you for watching. Take care.